So the world's first mostly automated McDonald's just opened in Texas. It has a smaller footprint, self-service kiosks, and is mostly automated, although it does include a couple of workers. I wish people really understood what this means. With all of the woke scolds pushing for $15, $20, $25 minimum wage, what they're basically doing is counting people out of a job. Now those people that could have worked at a McDonald's like this will have no job at all, because the tough pill for people to swallow is that there should be no federal minimum wage. That's right, the minimum wage should be $0. There should be no minimum wage because a contractual agreement between two consenting adults should have no involvement of the federal government. If I'm an able and willing adult and I enter into agreement with another able and willing adult and or business, I should be able to be free what I want to do. If the minimum wage is $15 and I'm willing to accept $14, it's illegal for that business to hire me at that rate. Therefore, even though I'm willing to accept it, they can't pay me that. And if I'm not able to produce enough value to be worth $15 an hour, I can only produce $14 an hour of value, I have no job. The only way for that business to continue on is for some other worker to do that task, or for you to decrease the quality of the product or how long it takes to prepare, the components, ingredients, etc. So really the customer ends up suffering in the end, and the worker that doesn't get a job, and essentially every taxpayer, because now there's one less person working and one more person that might need a handout. So let's think about this McDonald's. If the government keeps artificially pushing up the cost of labor, many businesses will have no choice but to do this. So if this McDonald's is competing with, let's say, other fast food restaurants, how are the other fast food restaurants going to compete? The workers at this restaurant will not be tired. They can work 24 hours a day. It's not as reliant on the human component. So by eliminating all those human beings that the other restaurants will have to pay, and all of the increasing amount of red tape that's necessary in order to employ them, fair wage and whatever else, healthcare, etc., this model will be able to eclipse them because they'll be able to provide the exact same food at the same price and make more profit. Eventually, the only available option for the other fast food restaurants will be to do the exact same thing or increase their prices. In the cutthroat game of fast food pricing, increasing the pricing might not be an option, so they'll have to make the food even cheaper, less healthy. Hard to imagine that's even possible, but that's what will have to happen. Or, of course, they could sneak it on you by reducing the portion sizes so people don't notice. Either way, if your competitor has no human beings and the cost of labor is going up because of all the red tape from the establishment, you're going to run out of options. As a result of this push to automation, all of those people who could have had a part-time job or even a low-paying job, but a job that was convenient for their schedule because a fast food restaurant could be open 24 hours a day, now they will have no job at all. What good does $15 an hour minimum wage or whatever rule have if you have no job? One obvious and natural next step for this process is they just will cut out cash altogether. Having machines that accept coins and physical currency will be cost prohibitive, so they'll say you have to use a credit card, which will eventually be subject to fraud, waste, and abuse, so they'll say, hey, you have to scan your thumbprint or your palm print as well. But aside from that, this push to automation also makes inexpensive, crappy food even easier to access and will, in theory, make it even cheaper. So here's another company that's pushing out absolute total poison that'll be able to do so more efficiently, faster, and cheaper, making it difficult for healthier food options and ones that are prepared by human beings more difficult. It would be a lot more challenging to put an item in an oven than it would be to dunk it in a fryer, for example, especially when it comes to something that's automated. These are the unintended consequences of overbearing government policies. Now, all of the fast food workers that would have otherwise been employed by this company will have no job at all. They'll have no part-time job. They'll have no job while they're like working through high school or working through their college courses or whatever. And it's yet another person that becomes dependent on the state. Eventually, these automated kiosks and automated businesses will become so prevalent that people will say there's not enough jobs, which will usher in the push to universal basic income, aka free handouts from the establishment paid for by all the other working people. And of course, money printing, inflation, etc. It won't be long before convenience stores, fast food restaurants, gas stations, etc. are all like this. Now, automation is not such a big deal for a massive corporation like McDonald's, but it is cost prohibitive for a small to medium-sized business or a mom and pop. So for example, if you own a hamburger stand that was across the street from McDonald's, a family-owned business that was run by you, started by you, etc., how are you going to compete with a business that has no people? Especially as the labor market becomes more and more cost prohibitive and has more red tape as a result of the establishment, as a result of big government. For you to be able to afford a machine that will automate your ordering process, conveyor belts and things like that, you have to invest a lot of money into that. Your small mom and pops, your small chains will not be able to afford that technology, the software, the maintenance, the actual machines themselves. And as a result, they will either go out of business and have to be sold to those bigger companies, or they'll have to raise their prices, or they'll cease to exist altogether. Thus further centralizing the control of this market by large multinational corporations and destroying the little guy, the small business. Because there won't be any rules or regulations about the automation, it's only rules and regulations about how you employ people. And then, like always, the establishment, the government, the centralized authority comes in to save the day, and more unintended consequences come as a result of that. When every fast food restaurant is automated, all of the small businesses will be unable to compete. And think about the health crisis, right? There was basically none of these automated businesses, but they said, oh, McDonald's and whoever else can stay open. Home Depot, Target, but the mom and pops have to stay closed. They were already pushing for this. But for the next monkey skin bubbles or poison air or whatever is the situation, you better believe it's coming. They'll just say, well, this automated McDonald's, these automated fast food restaurants, they have no human interaction. They can stay open. Jimmy's Hamburgers across the street, you have to close, thus furthering the massive wealth transfer, power transfer, etc. So all the useful idiots will go out into the street and they'll march and they'll say, we demand a living wage, $15 an hour. And that gets pushed through all the mega media corporations. Look, they're fighting for justice because they're in on it too. They want people to see that that's happening, which just sends a signal to all the corporate overlords to say, okay, we're going to eliminate them. We'll make it so you have no job at all. Go ahead and protest. That's how they do it. They get people to go out and march and beg for their own demise. A complete and total psyop like everything else. You're going to demand a living wage till you have no wage. And this is just the start. The media props up the story and gets people to demand for a higher wage, just like they get people to demand to take their Second Amendment rights away, demand to take their First Amendment rights away, always under the guise of protection and fear. The game is so clear and obvious, and this automated McDonald's is just one symptom in a far greater chain. This is just the beginning. But since people fail to look 2 minutes behind them or can't figure out how to look 2 steps ahead of themselves, it will just continue going this way. Fair wage, equal wage, and you have $0 wage.